Here is Adeshua and her only son, Otas, who is 23 years old. He was discussing new mobile software he had just programmed. The software uses a voice prompt, which automatically activates the phone to start recording secretly, and the recordings are backed up on the cloud, so you never have to lose them. Although Adeshua doesn't understand everything her son said, she encouraged him and told him she was proud of him. While on campus, Otas was found walking with Eric, who happens to be his only best friend. Tonya walked up to them, seeking an audience with Otas. Tonya happened to be Otas' ex-girlfriend, whom he caught having an affair with Eric, his best friend. Eric claimed he was on drugs and was high when the incident happened, and he apologized. Otas forgave Eric and continued with their relationship, while he found it difficult to forgive Tonya and broke up with her. Otas was having a conversation with Eric on the phone when his mom entered. She asked him why he was so happy. He explained how one of Eric's father's friends agreed to help with their NYSC posting to Lagos, but immediately Adeshua made him realize that he was not going anywhere, and that was final. She left his room, but Otas followed her, and the conversation became a very serious one. Eventually, Adeshua agreed with her son and allowed him to go to Lagos with Eric for their NYSC program. Otas and Eric are on their way to Lagos. While they were conversing, Otas brought out his phone to test the software he programmed, and immediately the phone started recording. As they journeyed, Otas' phone fell under the seat, and while he was searching for it, he found out that Eric was keeping a weed and gun under the seat. Although Eric asked him to calm down, he explained he doesn't take weed anymore. The weed is meant to be sold out, and the gun belongs to his father, which he uses for protection. Otas got angry and furious. He asked Eric to park the car, which he did. Otas came out of the car with the gun, telling Eric they must get rid of the gun. Eric disagreed with Otas, and they continued to argue. It was unknown to them that the policeman had arrived. As they continued with the argument, suddenly a gunshot was heard, and before they knew it, Eric was already dead lying on the ground. The policeman arrested Otas and took him to the police station. On arriving at the police station, Otas was shivering, scared, and lost in thought. A young man whose name is Thomas and who is also known to be a lawyer was at the station when Eric was brought in. He asked him if he was okay and what his offense was, but he did not respond. Thomas called Adeshua to inform her of her son's current condition. She rushed to the police station, only for her son to have been taken to an unknown location. She pleaded with Eric's father that her son was innocent, but she was interrupted by the policeman beside her. Adeshua finally located her son, but he told her to go and never to come see him again. She called Barrister Thomas for help, and he invited her to his office. On arriving at Thomas' office, he introduced his partner to Adeshua. On seeing each other, they seemed to know one another, and Adeshua hurried out of the office without uttering a word. The lady she saw at Thomas's office was actually her blood sister, whom she had seen for a very long time. Adeshua's past is shown, including how she was crying while she was a teenager. Her sister detected that she was pregnant and went to report it to their parents. Adeshua explained to her mother how she was raped by two policemen when she was trying to sell food for them. Her father was very sad and disappointed in her. She was so sad and ashamed that she ran away from home with the pregnancy. Meanwhile, Adeshua had refused to tell her son anything about her past or family members. She went to the prison with Thomas and her sister to check up on her son. Otas asked what they were doing here. Thomas responded that he is his lawyer and he is working to bring him out. But Otas burst into laughter and announced to the warder that he was done with the conversation. Immediately, Aye, who is Adeshua's sister, asked what it is that frightens him. She disclosed to him that she was her mother's sister. The moment Otas heard that, he signaled to the warder not to come yet. Otas admitted to Thomas that he killed Eric and told them that there was nothing more to explain or understand. At this point, Adeshua had to explain to her son how she was raped at the age of 17 by two police officers. She apologized for taking so long to tell him. Otas asked why, and she made him understand that she was trying to protect him from the street. Otas kept on admitting that he killed Eric because he was the one holding the gun, but Mr. Thomas intended to plead a manslaughter case and also get him out of prison on bail. He discussed this with Officer Felix. He told him it couldn't happen, but promised to discuss it with his father, who is the DSP of police. Eventually, Otas' bail was denied. On the first trial, Stephen, who was one of those who were arrested while sitting at the back of a police van on the day Eric died, was brought in as a witness to testify in court, but he testified against Otas. He claimed he saw it when Otas shot Eric, but thanks to Thomas, he was able to discredit the claim successfully. Thomas and A suspected that the police were hiding something important from them. Suddenly, Adeshua recognized recognized a police officer having a conversation with a gentleman and approached him. She claimed she knew him back in 1988 at Musham police station when she came with her mother to report a rape case and never got justice. But the policeman, whose name is Odeon, denied that he couldn't remember. She pleaded with the police officer that her son was innocent and that the policemen in charge were hiding something from the court. She asked him to help her out, but he made her realize that he would have loved to help her, but he couldn't. Meanwhile, some police officers and the prosecutor planned to sabotage Otas' image and reputation before the court. On the next trial, Otas' ex-girlfriend, Tonya, was brought to testify in court. She testified against Otas and claimed he was a selfish and hot-tempered person who threatened to kill her and Eric after finding out they were having an affair. Otas was called out as a witness himself to identify the gun used to kill the deceased. He claimed that wasn't the gun. He described it and claimed the gun belonged to Eric's father. This made the court realize that the police officers were truly hiding something from the court. Odeon, the police officer whom Adeshua asked for help, did some investigation and found out that Otas was not the one who killed Eric. He claimed the gun tender in court was not the original gun and that there was a video on Otas' phone. He called Adeshua to explain everything to her on the phone. She informed Thomas and her sister about the new update. They were overwhelmed with how to prove that the gun presented in court was not the real gun. Adeshua remembered the conversation she had with her son regarding the software she developed. She went with her sister to ask Otas how the video could be retrieved. He made them understand that the video can only be accessed by Tonya, his ex-girlfriend. The video was actually saved on her iCloud account. Eventually, AE and Adeshua were able to retrieve the video from Tonya. Thomas asked that Eric's body be exhumed for an autopsy, but Eric's father declined, so they were left with the video as the only evidence in the next trial. Meanwhile, Adeshua identified DSP Leakin as one of the two officers who raped her and decided to confront him. DSP Leakin admitted he raped her and threatened to arrest and lock her up in prison if she refused to keep her mouth shut. But unknown to him, Adeshua recorded all their conversation. She decided to go online to tell her story in a live video about how she was brutally abused and raped by two police officers. And the same police officer whose testimony her son is being tried on identified the man as DSP Leakin. Meanwhile, Eric's father agreed that his son's corpse would be exhumed for re-examination after watching Adeshua tell her story on the live video. Immediately, DSP Leakin was arrested. On the day of the final trial, Thomas brought forth new electronic evidence. This was the video Adeshua and A got from Tonya. The video was played, and it was clearly shown that, first, the gun presented by the police officer was not the same as the gun in the video. Also, Eric was shot in the back by one of the police officers, and this was confirmed by the autopsy report. In light of the new evidence, Otas was discharged, acquitted of all charges, and set free, while DSP Leakin and other police officers faced the full wrath of the law. Subscribe and like to enjoy more videos like this. Thank you for watching.